Hello, everyone. I am Megan Seaton, and I am the Business Development Manager for Avero Advisors. And today I have Katie Connatser, who is a Senior Project Manager with Avero. She has such a breadth of knowledge when it comes to ERP and all things related to that. So, Katie, thank you for joining us today.
Of course. Thanks for having me, Megan.
Yeah, you're welcome. So first, I just want to start out by hearing your story. How did you end up? What was your journey to senior project manager, and what do you enjoy most about helping those clients transition from old antiquated systems to a newer modernized system?
Yeah. So as far as my journey with Avero and how I became a senior project manager is I started out as a senior consultant, I believe. Titles, who knows? But so I started out as a senior consultant or business analyst, working on the actual day-to-day details of an ERP project.
Yeah.
And that was either sitting through client sessions, taking notes, making sure to catch any action items that were needed to follow up on for our project manager on that project, or doing business process mapping for their current state, or working on future state, working on requirements traceability matrix, gap analysis. So I was able to actually go through kind of full cradle to grave on a project that allowed me to experience the different aspects of what it takes to either go out to bid for an ERP or actually go live for an ERP. So being able to do that and then quickly moving up into a project manager role was great, because I actually had the chance to use my organizational skills and actually developing rapport with clients a little closer than I would have as a senior consultant, and actually help them organize and run the project. So I've been doing that for probably over a year, and then quickly became a senior project manager. I have over 10 years of experience in project management, so that's helped me along the way. And it's been really great to be able to experience the different facets of an ERP project and how we can help them move forward and how we can actually guide them to better and successful results in the end.
Yes, absolutely. Making their lives easier so that they can do their day jobs, right, and better serve their
Exactly.
citizens. So, can you tell us a little bit about maybe some of the projects you're currently working on, or that you've worked on in the past, and give us examples of maybe what went well, what didn't, what could have gone better?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So currently working on a few different types of projects. So seeing that we only work in the public sector, my current clients are a housing authority. So helping them with a Yardi implementation conversion, post go live support, helping with their help desk, also helping with data integrity and cleanup, and making sure that people really understand how to do their day-to-day jobs. These are really big projects and a whole lot of change. So, most of the people that actually go through and experience this, they've never experienced change as big as this in their career.
Right.
So it's a once in a career thing most of the time. I will say most of the time. Some people have the pleasure of going through it more than once. So, which is a big feat in itself. And then also working with a local county on helping them through the RFP process for an ERP. Actually going through the requirements. We finished that up, and then now we're going through the selection process once those bids are all in, and or the actual solicitation or response from the vendors are in. We'll go through the selection process, and what that kind of looks like for our clients is helping them aggregate the data of the requirements and who actually responded that they could provide the most functionality that was critical to your organization. And then also looking at their responses, making sure that they actually complied with the RFP, but then shortlisting and doing scripted demos which is really interesting because you don't want them to just go and give you the regular old sales demo. Here's all our
Right.
bells and whistles, and this is going to be really great for you. We actually want to see how they're going to provide a solution for our clients and for the organization. So that's going to be kind of next steps of what we're doing with that project. We're also in the middle of a go live for another city on the West Coast, and it's more of utility billing related and things of that nature, but then transitioning into finance. So we're at different phases with different projects, and we're able to guide them through those pieces. So really having the knowledge of how a project works and how we can help them throughout the way and support them. That's been really great in our current projects that we have, because they're all across the board. So
yes. These are really, really big projects. And a lot of the time when I'm at conferences trying to share the Avero story, people ask me, well, why should we spend the money to use a consultant? When we can just go to market and buy this big software, the latest and greatest with all the bells and whistles. So what is your answer to that question? Why is it important to use a consultant when you're doing a project this big?
Well, of course, it depends on the stage of the project, but in general, when you're going through, and let's just hypothetically say that you've been approached by a vendor, they're going to give you this, like, this is our best deal. You'll never get this pricing ever again. Just go with us. We'll help you the whole way through it. They wow you with the numbers. And that's your first red flag.
Right.
That's your first red flag to stop and take a step back. But really, the biggest value that I believe that we bring to our clients is the fact that every single person on your team has a day job, 40 hours a week or more, or however many hours they're supposed to work. They have a day job, and that's just adding an entirely different layer to that job when you put an ERP project in there. Of course, they have to be involved in the project along the way, because we're not going to make the decisions for you. We help guide them and give them the information that they need to make educated decisions about the system, about the functionality, about the design, conversion, whatever it may be throughout the process. And we really are able to help guide them through that. And we're able to support them and have a point of contact through some of the biggest change many organizations will see, as I said before. And so we really are there for support. We help hold the vendor accountable. One of the things that we really see is they'll tell you that, oh, this bell, this whistle, it can do this, this, and this. And then when you actually get into the meat and potatoes of those bells and whistles, it doesn't actually do that. And it doesn't actually work for the client. And so, doing those requirements and actually going through the contracting process to make sure it's exactly what you're looking for is critical. And then you can also use those tools to hold the vendor accountable to do what they said that they would do for you. And we help guide our clients to do just that. And how to make sure that they're getting what they've paid for, what they've contractually, what they're obligated to do, but also that it fits for their organization and it actually works, so that the people who are actually completing the work day to day, it's more efficient and effective for them and making their lives easier in the long run.
Right. I know that I hear you guys tell stories all the time of when we go in and we see clients who are, they have these new systems, right? They've purchased a new system, and everyone in the office is doing business on, paper, sticky notes, on their whiteboards. And it's like, oh, guys, you have this nice technology. Why are you not using it? And I think that's part of the problem, is that they didn't go in and, maybe senior leadership did not ask, hey, what can I do? What can I implement to help you do your job better?
Exactly.
So I think it's, a bottom up approach. And so I like that we go in and talk to those employees who are actually doing the computing and using the
Yeah,
systems.
well, really, it's on both ends. So it's the
Yeah.
top and the bottom. Like it's critical, just really across the board. Like everybody has to be involved. There has to be thorough communication.
Mhm.
That's another really big part of change management. And yes, implementation is about software and making it what it needs to be, but also it's a huge change management project as well, for an organization that's creating a ton of change.
Right.
It's about people.
Mhm.
It's about people and how they do their jobs and how they will do their jobs going forward. How do you make those jobs more efficient so that they can either they can pivot their role into something that better suits their skills,
Mm.
or they can pivot their role to create more bandwidth so that they can do higher level things for the organization. And so that is really important, to be able to do that. And then also how you mentioned sticky notes and
Yep.
spreadsheets, and oh my gosh, that is just a disaster. And quite honestly, we see it with almost every client. I don't think that I've ever seen a client not do that. Previously, before we've helped them implement software.
Right.
And it's crazy to think that they would prefer to use that because it's comfortable, than to make their job actually easier. So, uh, and that was a very long answer. to
No, that's fine. I love it.
but there's certain things, from the top down and the bottom up in an organization that have to be communicated. They have to be there has to be structure. There
Yep.
has to be a lot of structure to the project and the communication that's around that project, and just making sure that everyone understands what their options are and
Mhm.
how they can affect their day-to-day jobs, with
Right.
this new system. And I think, being able to understand those and make educated decisions on how functionality works and how the system can be designed, is really a crucial part to help eliminate those sticky notes and spreadsheets.
Right, right. Projects like these, like you mentioned, should be empowering to employees, right? And so, how is it that we get that message across to them? So, can you talk about some of the communication methods and empowerment that you use in your projects?
Yeah. So I, also have a marketing background. So I like to be a little creative, with my approach with people, because quite honestly, I don't think anyone wants to receive an extra email, or they don't,
Right.
everybody is so bombarded all the time with screens, social media, in their personal lives. It's everywhere. Everybody can contact you anywhere and everywhere unless you're out of a service.
Mhm.
So how can we approach them and actually talk with them, on a different level to make sure that they're informed? We've done weekly newsletters or monthly newsletters. That is an email, but it's a different type of email. It's more interactive. There may be some little cartoons in there. There's when are our important dates coming? What are our important dates coming up? um, you know, Celebrating wins. That's a huge thing in the project that most people don't look at, is celebrating the exciting stuff that's happening.
Yeah.
Most people like to focus on what's not going so well. So, reinforcing the positive of the project is always good, but also, videos. I've
Uh-huh.
used videos, which have been really successful. I went from sending weekly emails in one organization, and I noticed that when we would get into meetings, no one was starting to read them. So it was time to switch up the game. And so we started creating these really fun, I thought they were fun videos, and people were actually watching them and they
Yes.
knew what was going on. So we did that for a short time. We noticed that, the viewers were starting to go down over a couple of months. So it actually worked for a while. And then
Wow.
we started switching back to newsletters. So, finding ways to communicate with people, to meet them where they are, that
Mhm.
is the game changer, because they'll just easily file away that email. So how do you actually reach them? So
Right. Exactly. I love that. I love the idea of sending videos. Oh, that's awesome. 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 Can you speak a little bit? I know, ERP projects bring about a lot of change, and you've mentioned that several times. And a lot of what goes on with project management is change management. What is your approach to change management? I know you've mentioned communication, but what else?
that is the biggest part, is communication and
Mhm.
making sure that the right stakeholders are at the table. I firmly believe, not only as a professional, but personally, everybody should have a seat at the table and can provide their own ideas and thoughts, and they should be heard. And
Mhm.
so that's a huge one. And I think when people feel like they've been heard, and that it mattered, then they start to buy in, and that's
Sure.
a big thing. But also making sure you're talking about the risks of
Mhm.
the decisions that are being made, or the risks of the project as a whole. They need to understand what, if they do decide to do this one thing, what could actually harm them down the road if they make that type of decision. So continually making sure that they're educated to make those decisions. I've said that a few times, and that is a huge part in making sure that they have the information that they need to make those decisions that could, ERP projects they're not just going to affect you today. They're going to affect you 5 to 10 years down the road as
Right.
well. So making sure you're educated when you make those decisions are critical. And it, I'll always talk about communication
Yeah.
and again, because it's huge in a project like this. I think that is one of the places where most organizations really fail, is
Mhm.
the communication aspect of it, because
Sure.
people are given this new shiny toy and they're like, I don't know how to use it.
Mhm.
I didn't even know it was happening. So that's one of the big pieces, is communication at all levels, making sure that teams are meeting about it, having
Right.
weekly or monthly meetings with staff to make sure that it's happening, all critical pieces.
Yes. Well, Katie, thank you so much for joining me today. Our clients are so lucky to have you on their side, and I appreciate you so
Yep.
much. So
Thanks
thank
so much,
you.
Megan. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.